Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you guys. Well, not see you guys, but you know what I mean. Hopefully everyone out there is doing good. Today I'm going to be working on the Civic, continuing on the build for the Turbo. I hope everyone is as excited about it as I am. I would love to see this thing make some pretty good power, you know, go out there and beat up on some cars that are pretty unsuspecting, because obviously it just looks pretty much stock like a regular Civic, but we know everyone loves a good sleeper Honda build. So today I'm going to be installing a fuel pump for this car. As I mentioned in the video before, I do have some free 440cc injectors. I'm going to be running that. I do plan on running this car on E85. E85 is pretty easily accessible for, you know, where I live at, so I do plan on running that. 440cc injectors probably aren't going to get me that far, but I am going to put a new fuel pump in there. I just went with a Works DW200 pump. I was going to go with the you know, tried and true Walbro 255, but the Works pump flows just as much. Actually, I think it flows a little bit more, and it should be plenty for what I need. On E85 it'll be plenty of fuel. I know that the injectors alone are probably going to be the limiting factor. I would like to have maybe like some at least 550cc or maybe 700cc injectors for this particular setup, but like I said, I don't know how much power this clutch, that used clutch I got, I don't know how much it's going to hold. So right now I'm just going to be shooting for at least 200 wheel horsepower, and if you guys know, in a 2,000 pound car, 200 wheel horsepower is pretty significant. It's quite a lot. It's not fast, but you know, it's capable enough. So I'm just going to start there. I don't know what boost that's going to be, etc. But let me just show you guys the pump I got, and then I'll kind of go over briefly how to replace it, because in the EFs, I don't know why they just didn't do like all the other Civics and Integras. Those are easy. Pop out the back seat, replace the fuel pump from inside the car. On the EFs, the CRXs, the hatches, unfortunately you have to drop the entire gas tank in order to get the fuel pump out. So I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it, but I think I don't know how much gas is actually in my tank. I'm gonna have to drain some of it first before I can pull it down. But yeah, let me just show you the pump. This is the pump that I got. Like I said, Works, been liking their stuff. I haven't had any issues with the pump in the Lexus at all, and I haven't had any issues with the injectors either. So I'm gonna just stick with them. They've been doing good. This is the part number. When you go to their website, they actually don't make an application for this Civic. So I just kept going up in years. My car's an 89. I went to 90, I checked. I went to 91, I checked. And then what I did was just go to an Integra for 91, and it came up with this one, which seems to work in a lot of different Hondas. So I'm just going to run this one, which is technically for an Integra, but you know, most of these things are universal. And as long as you hook up the, you know, the supply hose that's in there, I might have to change the connector. But aside from that, it should be perfectly fine. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. Like I said, this is a DW200, and you can see it flows 255s like a Walbro would at that PSI right there, and I should be able to get that no problem, because like I said, running the 440cc injectors, I'm going to be running the stock Honda OEM fuel pressure regulator, because it is a rising rate regulator, and I've used them before in the past up into about, I don't know, 400 horsepower, and they seem to do just fine. So I'm not going to be changing any of the fuel rail stuff. I'm literally just changing the pump, changing the injectors, and I'm going to go from there. So yeah, this thing looks pretty sweet. It looks just like a normal fuel pump. It comes with, I think it comes with, let's put it up there in the box. Yeah, I think it comes with some connectors in here or something. Yeah, here's a fuel sock, and then I'm assuming there's a connector in there somewhere, I hope. Oh, there's a hose right there. Honestly, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I see an electrical connector. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully it's the same type of plug that's in my Honda now, I guess. That's what they assume. But yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. So, let me show you how to take this fuel tank out. I should mention safety first. If you want to disconnect your battery, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that, but you can if you want. We do need to get to the bottom side of the seat on this car. Most Hondas have like a 10mm bolt that's just usually right in the middle of the seats, and in this car it's just like right here by the seat belt. There's a bolt right there. Problem is with these cars, you can't really lift the back of the seat up enough to get an extension in there. Some other cars you can, but anyway, you need to get to that bolt. The easiest way to do it on these cars is just fold the seat down, pull all this carpet and stuff back, and then let me see if I can show you what it looks like. You look kind of just down in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but just down in here, right where my finger's at, there's a 10 millimeter bolt. Just down there. I don't know if you'll focus on it, but there it is. And you can just use like a ratcheting wrench or something like that right now to get to it. I'm just gonna stick a wrench right there and get it out. And then after that, you can flip this back forward. That should enable you to kind of lift the seat up and kind of lever it out of the little holders there in the front. So let me get that bolt out and take the seat out. What we're going to do in here is to just get this wiring disconnected. This is for your fuel level sender. Pretty much is providing power to the pump, and it's also telling the gas gauge how much fuel's in the tank. So you just lift up this here connector, and then you just unplug it. Pretty simple. Like that. Just let this stay here. And then you want to take this cover off. It's 3 Phillips screws, and you also want to take this wiring out of this here cover. You want the wiring to fall down with the tank. So just do your best to get this wiring all pushed out of here. Kind of something like this. Careful not to damage the wiring. So like so, and I'll just remove the cover. Now of course there's a lot of spider webs and stuff up here, so make sure you don't get bit, but this wiring, just let it rest on top of the tank. There is a connector right here on top of the tank. Not sure if you have to remove it. I think you have to unplug it, so there's like a cover on it. Take this cover off. Then there's a connector under here, so I'm just going to disconnect this connector and just let everything rest here. I'm not sure if you have to take this off or not. It's been so long, so I'm just going to leave this all here like this, and we can go down underneath the car now, and I'll show you guys what you got to take off down there. If your car is anything like mine, do get yourself a vacuum and get rid of all the spider webs, because I'm not trying to die to spiders. But essentially, there's a few things you got to take off in order to get this fuel tank out. I'm going to just kind of show you things as I can see them, because they're just easier to deal with. The two main things right here would be this is the fuel filler hose right here. There's a clamp right here at the 10, and then just behind that there's a vent tube right there, right where I'm pointing at. There's a clamp right there with a hose on it. You can undo that clamp, take that hose off, and that will get you disconnected from the filler and the vent tube. Then there's also I believe this is a feed line that's right here. There's a cover right here that you need to take off with that 10 right there. There might be a 10 on the other side. And then we need to get rid of also this plastic cover right here that's held on by 2 10s. There's one over there and one over here. I believe there's a kind of like a Phillips screw on the back side. Sorry, I really can't show you guys that well, but there's a, I don't know if I can zoom in on it for you. There's a kind of a screw right there, right at the tip. It's probably not going to show you, but anyway, you stick a Phillips head. You can't see it because it's just grimy and nasty. I believe you stick a Phillips head in there, unscrew it, and then pull that cap off. Then once you get this cover off, there's, I believe, some other connections in there we need to deal with. But aside from that, it's really not too much. There's like a couple of electrical connectors over here, I believe. Then just these 2 hose clamps with the filler neck right here. And then there's just 2 straps. This strap here, I believe that's a 14 millimeter. Could be a 12 holding it on. And then a strap on the other side as well. So if you live in an area that's rusted, I don't, good luck. I guess those are probably all rusted out by now. But I'm gonna hit these first right here with some PB Blaster, so that way while I'm working on the other stuff, these hopefully will break free and I won't have to fight them too much. As you can tell, this is a pretty big project. You know, I did the clutch first. This was the next big thing to do. And if you want to drain your tank, this right here will drain your tank. It looks covered up, but I don't know if that's a 19 or a 17. You can get that on there and then drain the fuel tank. I'm not gonna drain my fuel tank. I hope I'll be all right. It's a pretty big flat bottom tank, so I'm planning to use my transmission jack and maybe some pieces of wood to kind of hold it up while I take it down. And hopefully I'll be all right. So yeah, let me just get to work and get this stuff off. Alright, so once you're under the car and you got those covers removed, the small cover unleashes this, or unleashes it. The small cover reveals this here main fuel. This is the fuel feed line that goes up to the rail. It's held on by a, like a normal flare nut, so definitely make sure you get the correct wrench for this. I believe it is a 14mm flare nut wrench. Let me see if I can reach my wrench and show you guys. Hold on. Let's see. Yep, 14mm. So a flare nut wrench looks like this. Don't try to use a normal 14 because I promise you you're going to strip this, but this is one of the lines that you need to remove. This to just slip over like this and you can go ahead and break this free. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be fuel that comes out, so make sure you have something underneath. And then you can see there's also this other hose right here that goes into the car, and then there's one more hose right here in the middle, this one right here my finger's on, that goes into the car. So these three, you need to disconnect all of these three in order to remove this from the car cleanly. I believe that's it. There's some other stuff up here that's your evap stuff. So that's what this is hose. That's what this hose is going to your evap. Whatever this is up here, maybe it's a vent or charcoal canister. I don't know what it is. I'm not even gonna try and figure it out. But you need to take this line off right here because it goes into the car. You need to remove this 14mm off here. This is the main fuel feed, and then you need to also take this hose off right here, which I'm pretty sure is the return line. So you need to remove all three of those, and then after that, I don't believe there's anything else you need to remove in order to pull this down from the car aside from the straps. So let me work at getting these off. They should all be easy to get off. There's just some hose clamps on both these. It's just that the hoses are old, so do take your time and try to, not damage anything if you can help it. So, all right, just to show you guys, got everything off. This came off really easily, and I just tucked my, fuel lines right here. Kind of just tucked it up, the one that was connected to this. That way it stops dripping fuel. Otherwise, it'll just keep dripping forever. It didn't come out at all. It wasn't under pressure at all because the car's just been sitting. But yeah, got that one off. Got this one off that I told you in the middle here. I think this is a fuel damper, and some cars might have that, some might not. And again, I'm working on an EF sedan, so my filler necks are over here, whereas if you were in a CRX or a hatch, pretty sure your guys' filler stuff or filler tubes will be in the very front of the gas tank, like closest to the front of the car. You'll have these same kind of hoses just in the front, so make sure that you take those off. But yeah, I got all those connected. This is disconnected, so now the only thing left to do is to undo the straps, which is this one here, and then the other one on the other side, and should be able to lower the gas tank down. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if I can get this out of here. here it is. It's really dirty. Fuel pump is here in this hat. It's just held on by, looks like some 10mm screws, and then you can lift that all off. But yeah, this thing's extremely dirty. As you can see, obviously it's been up in the car for years and years. And I forgot, I mentioned earlier to take off this connector right here. It looks like you just didn't have to disconnect it at all. So if you want to go ahead and plug this guy back in like so, and then put the cover back on it like that, that should be fine. This one though, you did need to take off. This is the one that went up into the car. But I think before I take this hat off, I don't want any of this dirt or any of this garbage to go into the tank by accident. So I think I'm just gonna spray this off, all the top of it, while it's all sealed up. You know, just cover up the connectors, cover up some of the hose ends and stuff. I think I'm gonna cover all that up and then just hose this off, so that way it's as clean as I can get it before I open that up. That way I don't drop any crap in there. So let me do that, and then show you guys how to take the fuel pump out. All right, cleaned up the gas tank, looks a lot better. So now we're just gonna get this fuel hat off. Like I said, it's held on by looks like 6 10mm nuts. These ones you can see. Don't disconnect any of this wiring. Shouldn't need to do that. You do need to unclip it here from the tank, and I think that's enough. What my goal is to just pull it out and kind of lay it over here into the my catch can here. These are hard lines. I guess if you wanted to take this off right here, this banjo fitting, that's just going to this hose here. You could do that, but I'm not going to, since I know it's already in the correct orientation. So I'm not going to touch any of that. So that way, when I put it back in the car, I don't have to like struggle trying to see if it's right. So I'm just going to take this off all as one whole. I'm going to take this hose clamp off here and slide this off, and then this metal hard line is actually held to the tank by this bracket right here, which is just a 10mm, I believe, up under this. So let me take all that off and then try and pull this fuel hat out of here. Went on ahead and pulled out the fuel pump, got that all out and just laying over here on the side. Like I said, I left the wires and stuff connected. I mean, you could disconnect it if you want, but I'm not going to, because it's just not really necessary. And you can see here, basically this is a stock fuel pump. On any Civic or Integra, look very similar to this. You have a power wire, which in the case of my car is a blue wire, and then you'll have a ground, which is just black. You can verify that by using a multimeter and just checking for continuity between the power side, which is this one, and the ground, which is clearly grounded to this whole hat. So, and when you set up your new pump, now granted, most of these are going to be kind of universal style setups. Basically all you need to do is just have it mimic this kind of setup right here. You have your feed hose right here, which is right there with the new pump. You have 2 hose clamps. Obviously one clamp is going to clamp to the top of your pump, where that red guy is at right there. So clamp to that. Sorry, that's not focusing. And then your other side of the hose will clamp into the feed tube, which is right here. That goes up and out of the tank and to the front of the car. So, and then you'll just hook up your power wire. Now most of these, I apologize, my video got kind of delayed because they didn't send me the correct connector. So basically you're just gonna, this plugs into the new pump. You're gonna hook up power, which to me, this is gonna get spliced into this blue wire, and then the ground is gonna get spliced into the black wire, and that is literally it. Then you'll fit the new pump in there, which is gonna be smaller than this pump, so you'll just have to fit it in there as best as you can. Then it'll come with a new sock, which is this guy right here. This goes into the bottom of the new pump. So you can pretty much toss this pump, toss this stuff that's on here. You may have to trim this hose right here in order to get it fit properly, because you do want it to sit basically in the hanger exactly how it sits now. You don't want it to be too high up, otherwise it's not going to suck up any fuel, and you don't want it to be too far down, otherwise you're going to run your sock into the bottom of the tank and suck up everything else. So try to do your best to keep it where it is and positioned how it needs to be. So I'm not going to really show you guys how to do all that. It's pretty straightforward. Most of the time though, you'll have to either use a hose clamp around this whole metal guy to hold the new pump in place. Some people use zip ties. You can do that as well. Whatever you want to use. Zip ties, they might break down in the fuel after a while. I've used them in the past and they've worked okay. but you can use whatever you'd like. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all this apart, and then I'll show you guys how I got it set up. Got the new pump installed, got it all wired up, new sock is on. I went on ahead and slid, there was like the sleeve over this thing that said DW200, but it slid right off, so I don't really want to keep that plastic in there if I don't have to, so I just took it off. But yeah, it's in here. Got it crimped up to the power wire and crimped to the ground wire. I do have a hose clamp down here holding it on the bottom. I went on ahead and tried to reuse the stock little rubber deal at the bottom as best as I could. And then I just got 2 zip ties here holding the wires in place so that I can slip everything back in there. But I did keep the old pump. I mean, it did work, so I'm not gonna toss it. I'll just keep it around, I guess. I don't have a problem with just keeping stuff, but never know. I could need to use that in the future or something. But yeah, so that's pretty much how you install these things. Like I said, they're super simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back into the fuel tank, and then get this thing back up into the car and try and fire this thing up just to make sure that it runs right. Should run just fine, shouldn't have any issues running with the stock ECU, the stock injectors, stock fuel pressure regulator. All that stuff should be just fine. So the stock fuel pressure regulator is going to obviously maintain the pressure that it so desires, and so whatever is not used will just bleed back into the tank. So yeah, I'm gonna get this in there and get right back to you guys in a minute. Yep, sounds like it primed. All right, I'll get it down on the ground and start it up. Got it back down on the ground. Everything's buttoned up inside. Seats back on and everything. And just so you guys know, I am running, everything is completely stock. Fuel rail stock, stock B series injectors, stock OEM fuel pressure regulator. You know, this stuff has been covered, like I said, for a long time now. These cars are old. But in case of those who are younger, who are getting into these cars, you can run an aftermarket fuel pump with all the stock stuff, because this fuel pressure regulator is set to, I think these are around between 35 and 38 psi stock, and no matter what kind of fuel pump you're going to run, this job of this is to maintain a certain fuel pressure at all times. So you can put 1,000 liter per hour pump in there, and this should still provide the correct fuel pressure to the rail, which in case will spray the correct amount of fuel out even in stock form. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up now and make sure everything's good, no leaks. Yep, fuel pump primes. Fires right up. Very cold, I haven't driven it in a while, so yeah, fires right up. Touch anything up here, so there shouldn't be any leaks at all, and should be good to go. I might take it around for a drive just to see how it does, but I mean, I haven't really changed anything. It's still going to make the same power. It's not going to make any more power or anything. So yeah, success. Well, that is mission success. Car runs great. I'll probably go drive it around like I mentioned before just to make sure everything is good, but there's really not going to be any performance gain or anything like that. Just kind of doing, you know, this minor preparation in order to put the turbo stuff on. So I should be able to be getting to that here in the next week or two for sure. As I always mention, I got a lot of stuff going on, and this is really a long drawn out video to install a fuel pump, but I do like to be as informative as I can, as you guys know. And if it's boring to you guys, I mean, just let me know. If it's boring, I just won't go into much detail when I'm doing smaller things. But if it's not boring and you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, do make sure to hit the like button. Leave me some comments down below. I'll always answer your guys' questions as best as I can. And yeah, so I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.